Greetings, Blood Bowlers, and welcome back to a brand new episode of All or Nuffle. And as well as the two idiots that I usually have with me, Gary and Steve, we have got two other Nomads with us. We've got Tom. Do you want to say hi, Tom?
Hello.
And you, Ash, say hi.
Hi.
Ash and Tom joined us, as well as many other Nomads, at Full Beard Cup not the weekend just past, the one before. And we figured it'd be, well, I tell you what, we asked a ton of people if they wanted to come on, and the list was far too long. So I think we're probably going to end up having a couple of episodes with some Nomads on from Full Beard Cup. But we thought it'd be a good idea to get someone that's not just us three talking about how brilliant Nomads is and what a fantastic time we have, just so that people know we're not lying. What do you reckon, Gary?
Yeah.
I'm calling this is a risky move here. Like, they could completely blow us out the water.
Yeah. Tom and Ash have been paid handsomely.
Yes.
I did comment before either of you joined that Tom and Ash arrived to the session before you two did.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, it just goes to show you, you know.
You told us you wanted some alone time with Ash and Tom, though.
Oh, dear me. So, Full Beard Cup. First of all, I think I speak for everybody when I say we had an absolutely cracking time, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. Regardless of results or anything like that, just the people that we've spoken to, for months in build-up, finally being in the same space together is sounds a bit wet, but it's a bit of a special feeling, isn't it? It's sort of like a culmination of months of interaction.
Yeah. Oh no, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. Excellent to actually put faces to names, and meet everyone.
Oh. Yeah, absolutely. I think for the most part, I think the majority of so there were 14 Nomads in attendance, and the majority of us didn't do very good. I think the best finishing person was other Gary, wasn't it? Did he finish in top 15, top 20, something like that?
Actually,
We're meant to know this, aren't we?
I don't think I even bothered looking at the final standings.
I won't be reliving where I am. I'm just going to stay somewhere near the bottom.
Go on, tell us how you got on, Baz.
I did terribly. I had a really rough first day. Go on, Steve.
No, Baz. You tell us your story, and then we'll let Steve tell us how he did.
I had a shocking first day. I got absolutely annihilated by first by gnomes, then it was lizard men, and then the new chaos dwarves. Just got absolutely ripped to pieces by all three. But as I said many times over that weekend, all three of them were really, really lovely blokes. I mean, the first guy playing gnomes took Cindy Pie Whistle, and his gimmick of the weekend was every time he threw a pie at one of my players, he would give me a pie, like a little apple pie. He got to turn three. And I said, mate, you're going to have to fucking stop because you're throwing like a pie every turn here, mate. I'm going to be throwing up. But yeah, really, really nice guys. Second day, I played against all Nomads, and both of which I played against Steve in Game 4 and Tom in Game 5, and ended up finishing with 1 win and 4 losses. But just like I say, an absolutely cracking weekend overall.
Yeah, brilliant.
Go on, Steve.
No. Go round everyone else.
I think the main thing for me was like you said, so I'm meeting up with the Nomads, after chatting with people for months and months, but also I think the last time I went to Warhammer World, I didn't know anyone. So I was I'm like the proper definition of a nomad. So I'll kind of travel to different tournaments, different parts of the country, often on my own, because there isn't like a huge sort of league where I am. I kind of go travel up with people. So the group's been awesome for me. So meeting up with 14 or 13 other nomads, it was just amazing. And that was the thing. I finished with 2 wins, 3 losses. But I genuinely didn't care. At no point of the weekend did I even care what the result was going to be. So I just had such an awesome time chatting with everyone. I think it's one of the tournaments that probably one of the best ones I've been to in terms of the atmosphere. Everyone just up for a laugh. And that isn't always the case with every Blood Bowl tournament, but certainly with Full Beard, it was really, really kind of felt that everyone was just there to have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about you, Ash? Would you echo similar to what Tom's just said in regards to Nomads and the tournament itself?
Yeah, exactly what Tom's just said. I really enjoyed it. I go to quite a lot of Warhammer World events, and that's up there one of the best ones. And it was mainly because I was meeting up with a group of like-minded players I've been speaking to for months. Came on the Friday, met you, Baz, obviously, and
Yeah.
we literally, just had always had someone to talk to. The result was like irrelevant, really. It was the whole weekend spending it with everybody and talking about the games and our good or not so good dice rolling. My result was pretty decent as well, with the 2 wins, 2 draws and a loss. So I'd take
Very
that
good.
for the
That's-
tournament.
that's
So
not
yeah,
very
happy
good.
days.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's not a bad record at all, really, is it? To be fair, given some of the teams and players that were there, that's really good. What about you, Gaz?
I had a shit time. I had a brilliant time. I had an absolute brilliant time, and I think the thing about meeting all the nomads, and everybody said it was great, right? But we've got so many different personalities as well, and going to tournaments is different things to different people. And I know nomads, where our group is a little bit of, it's not silly. It doesn't try to be anything serious, and there's a bit of seriousness goes on occasionally when people are asking for rules things. But we're all big wind-up merchants and mess about. But we've still got lots and lots of different personalities. So you look at people like Brian and Ed and Rory. They don't need to be doing the people stuff, and they're happy about that. And they'll just come and go as they wanted. And the people stuff, like me and Gaz, the other Gaz, are jumping up and down on the tables being silly. Well, we weren't, but. So it can be everything to everybody, and you can just dip in and out. But there's just somebody there at a tournament, I think, for me, that just means that you can just share the experience. And again, you said it was soppy earlier on. It does sound soppy, but it's actually quite important being able to go somewhere, even when you go in with your own mates, and there be a wider bunch of people. You genuinely feel part of the bigger community. And the Blood Bowl community is brilliant anyway. To be part of a sub-community, turning up to a tournament, I think it's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you finish up then, Gaz?
I got my first ever non-negative result at a tournament. So I had 2 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses.
Very good.
Even. First time I've ever won 2 games at a tournament. So yeah, I had my best result in a tournament ever. So I'm really happy with that. Yeah.
Brilliant. And what about you, Steve?
It's fucking shit. Fuck Blood Bowl.
Stupid
Fuck
game.
it all. No. So straight off the bat, I someone has to end at the bottom of the table, and that was me. I was dead last. I was 1 draw and 4 losses. So I said to you when I went to it, obviously, the biggest thing for me is meeting the nomads. So it's actually really good fun. Again, that kind of aspect of going along and enjoying other people's games and seeing how people are doing and seeing how people succeed and didn't succeed. Like, yourself and Gary going into the second day, both of you didn't have a single win on your plate. Like, is that right, Gary? You didn't have a single win. You didn't have a win. Like, and
Yep.
then how the day turns around, like, and then suddenly, like, everything else that came off the back of it. And, we haven't touched on the awards and stuff that everyone's won. And that kind of stuff there really made the day for me. Like, I said to you, I'm coming up here to learn. I wanted to win. I really wanted to win a game. And I had some interesting games and I learned a hell of a lot. I got, it was, lots of learning for me. And bear in mind, not having played much Blood Bowl, yet being on the Blood Bowl podcast, but not having played loads of Blood Bowl, I learned that the amount of learning I had in that 2 days was phenomenal. And also, better part of it was being able to then bounce off the nomads with what was going on, having the conversations with people. If I went to that tournament on my own, I don't think I would have second dayed it. I'll be absolutely honest with you. My worst game was my third game. I wouldn't say worst game. The hardest game was my third one. I had 5 people dead. I was ending up with 3 people on the pitch. It was awful, but it was the closest in scores of 3-2, and I almost got it at the end. I think I would have got a draw at the end, but that's a different topic about sideline coaching, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But it was a hard day, but being there with everyone else and seeing how everyone else was doing, and then kind of seeing how people would be successful, I was just like, I want to see how people do at the end of this and share the experience with everyone. And it was awesome seeing like Tom, like you winning, like with the team that you painted, and then stuff with Rory and even Gary winning stuff as well. Like, it's that makes it awesome. and being part of the Nomads makes it even better. So it's like, I think yourself, Tom, like you said, you go to stuff on your own. Like, I think it's like, if there's people out here listening who go to stuff on their own, join us, because there'll always be a Nomad there. At least you've got someone to bounce off of. Like, we're all like-minded. It was. Apart from that, I say apart from the Blood Bowl, I really enjoyed the Blood Bowl. Although I got hammered, I did enjoy it and learn a hell of a lot. It was.
I think something that's really a good way to sum up the thing that we've all spoke about separately is, the whole thing of having somebody to speak to between games. Is that whether you've had a really good game that you've won 4-0 or you've had a really bad game where you've lost 4-0, there's something really good about somebody you've already interacted with coming to you at the end of the game and saying, "How did you get on? How did it finish up?"
Yeah,
and you can turn around and share the joy of, I had a really good game. Everything went my way, some good tactics, managed to finish 4-0, and they'll celebrate with you. And then you've got the reverse of that. Do you know what? I had a really rough game. I made some mistakes. The dice didn't really help either. And then you've got somebody to be like, "Oh well, this happened in mine, and it was just as shit as yours, so you're not on your own." Like, I think that experience in between games. If you didn't have that, like Steve said, if you had a really rough first day and you've got somebody in between games or at the end of the day to be able to, talk through it all with, I think you can understand why some people think, "I'm just not going to the second day."
Yeah,
I can't quite cope with the mental battering of going through that again.
It makes going there with other people, even if it's not the people that you've been in the car with, but going there knowing there's going to be other people there that you know and that you've talked to in the past over a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group if you're in a different community or whatever it is, I genuinely think makes another part of the event. There's the playing the Blood Bowl, there's the picking your team, there's the sorting your rosters out, there's sharing the wins and the losses and chatting about it. But being able to do that with a whole bunch of people and be able to bounce off people, it's just another aspect that just works. And it doesn't work for everybody, like we've said about Nomads, but I think it's brilliant.
I think also, like with the kind of similar builds and similar teams that people are taking, you can kind of work out, well, how's your team getting on? Like, you kind of work out what you might have been asked to do differently. But like you say, I think it's just about, like, you really root for the other moment. I found myself like really rooting for the other Nomads to get a win. I'd go to their tables towards the end and I'd be like, "Oh, come on." Like, I wouldn't say anything to them when I want to interrupt their game or interrupt like the opponent or anything. But I definitely kind of found myself really rooting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I don't think it matters how, and I'm sure, I think of people in this call, I think me and Steve finished closest at bottom. But in that moment where we got to awards ceremony, and we'll touch on who won what, but when Nomads were winning awards that, I think are really important to what Nomads is about, it truly, and I'm as much as I will admit openly that I love to win and I hate losing, in that moment, I truly, my record might as well have not existed. The fact that Nomads were winning what I think are some of the more important awards, especially given what Nomads is all about, it made everything else irrelevant.
I think also, just following on from what Steve was saying earlier about obviously his record and you felt disappointed and things like that. I think it's important to note that, first, like you say, you haven't played that much Blood Bowl. And taking Wood Elves, I don't think Wood Elves is an easy team. Like, if you're not used to Blood Bowl, and also, it's a tough team to kind of get to grips with in a competitive tournament. So, like you did really well. And also, let's not forget, like, it was the Nomads that selected it for you as well. So, you blame us.
I'm just saying, I've picked my team for the belt. I've got the team I've chosen this time. But no, it's like, and it's interesting, because it was difficult. It was, but my best performance on the pitch was when I was down to 4 people. I was scoring touchdowns with 4 people. I have a full team. I was playing bad with a full team. Get down to 4 people, I had to think hard. And I tell you what, it's that thing. I learned so much. And this is the thing to go to anyone who's going to a tournament or anyone like this. Like, I ended dead bottom. But I've still had a good time. I really did have a good time. And some people might find that hard to believe, but I did. It's the people that you go with, which is big help. You learn when you're playing the game, but it's also like, you got to go to experience it to get better. You've got, I can't get any lower. literally the next one, I literally can't get any lower. So, if I'm at the same point, I'm equal. I'm drawing,
What was your record, Steve, at the previous one?
That was
The belter.
No, it was a 0-1-2. It was the 0-1-2. So I had Imperial Nobility, and it was just 0-1-2, and that was.
See, like Steve, you got to realise back then you were even less experienced, and getting a draw with Imperial Nobility.
Yeah.
In your bear in mind, we are talking like your first 3 to 4 games of Blood Bowl ever. You went in totally blind. Getting a draw with Imperial Nobility is like no mean feat at all.
No,
and you're not playing loads of Blood Bowl like we are.
No.
No, I'm your as and when. But yeah, I've got a few things lined up now because I on the back of this now. I do want to hit the Bugman's belt hard, and I just need to get a win. But that's it. It's a free game. It's 3 games, and if I can get a win, I'll be happy. But yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyhow, enough about me and my amazing performance that you guys wish you were as good as me. Gary messaged. He got 14th, so our highest Nomad was 14th, placed 14th. So 14th? 14th was the highest Nomad.
Where did you finish up, Ash?
31st.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Not bad at all. Happy with that.
Not bad at all. That really, to be fair. And you took dwarves, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, I took dwarves with the Death Roller with Sneaky Git. Sorry.
Plenty of fouling.
Yeah, I kept a tally as well. 42 in the tournament altogether.
So that's another thing that I think is interesting is that you get these people that genuinely have a drive to they care more about injuring other players than they do about the score. And Ash were quite fortunate that in a couple of games the score went his way as well. But I think you were pretty pleased at telling everybody throughout the weekend, Ash, just how many fouls and casualties you were up to.
Yeah, it was good fun. The fun thing was with the Death Roller, I did take a bribe with him, and every time he got caught, the first time, I rolled that 2 up on the bribe, and it rolled a 1 every single game. 5 games, and I even did it on the Friday practice game as well. It's just what can you do? The two wins were pitch clears, so it shows it can work, but you need to get everyone off the field before the dwarves start just walking over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of speaking of casualties, Tom, you were not far off, mate, from getting most casualties.
I was joint top. It goes to position finish, so I finished below the person who also had 20 casualties. So that was actually one of my aims going in. So I got runner up to most cas last time I was at Warhammer World. It's something I kind of I felt was like thematic. I took Khorne, so it's all I just wanted to hit things. Cause some casualties. I took a chainsaw, even though I only found out just before it didn't actually count towards casualties. I was like, just the theme of it. And he was useless anyway. He wouldn't have added anything to it anyway. He was absolute garbage. I'm never taking him again. He was so bad. He killed himself really early every single game. But yeah, I was really close to kind of getting that most casual. Mainly, unfortunately, as down to our last game, kind of massage those numbers a little bit.
Oh yeah, just a little. You only got 7 in our game.
It kind of made up for the fact that I played against gnomes. I was like, oh, here we go. Let's get some easy cas here. I think I got some, maybe 1, maybe not, and maybe none. I can't remember. I was pretty sure he had a full box of reserves ready to come on. They were just the toughest little gnomes in the world. Both trees still on. Oh, it was an absolute nightmare game. But great fun as well.
Did you lose your tree a couple of times throughout weekend, Steve?
Yeah, no. So that was the 3rd game I had. My tree was killed by a beer boar. So of all things, my tree got knocked down, and then he was just like, yeah, I want to go foul on it, and then I was just like, dead. I was like, and I just really realised then at that point how weak Woodhells are, because he was just clearing the pit. I spent the end turn he was going for a touchdown to go for his 2-1, And he was going for his second one, and I spent the turn running away from him, and he was just chasing me and killing me. That was all he was doing. He was stalling and killing me, and I was just like, I'm not enjoying this, like, you know. But yeah, no, my tree. Yeah, you took my tree out as well. You knocked my tree out, I think. No, you didn't.
I think no, I just made him prone.
Prone, yeah. So, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
also, I mean, one thing I got to go back and quickly say is, like, before going too far about opponents in bad games, all my opponents were wonderful opponents. That was another thing to say. Like, you know, as much as I had a hard game, it was the game that was hard. It wasn't the opponent. He was fantastic, but he was one of those ones. He was like, sorry, like, rolls the dice, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. Sorry, like, you know. But they were all wonderful. I had two brothers. They were the first game I had and the last game I had. The two of them, two lads. I think they've actually joined the Nomads as well now. They were fantastic lads as well. You know, really good. Really, you know, I mean, one of them, he was on the back of 4 losses coming in. So I had a draw. He had 4 losses coming into the last game. And he was just so happy, you know, just happy to be there, kind of thing, like, you know. So, but yeah, had really good opponents there as well. Have to say that. So.
Yeah, so I think every opponent I faced over the weekend was just absolute joy. Like even like I played 2 Nomads. I played Baz yourself in the last game, but also played Ed and his vampires in the game before that, and he absolutely smashed me like 5-0. It was just one of those games. It was like where everything just didn't go right. But do you know what? It's such a super fun game. He's such a lovely guy that it just didn't matter. I just had fun, and that's the thing. Cause that's one of the cool things about a tournament like that. I was like, I can just go for Kaz, and I just go for see if I can just finish the game with some casualties and stuff, and still just have a laugh in the chat. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can, like, if you are absolutely trouncing somebody, you can start to feel a little bit guilty.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember a few times in our game, you were rolling 6 and you were apologising, and I pointed across the table like an angry father and went, I will be more annoyed if you keep apologising.
It was ridiculous, though. I think it was more like, it felt so ridiculous because, like, it was like, where have these dice been? Like, it was so pure nuffle, wasn't it? It was like, where have these been the last, like, couple of games I've had? It was just, because it felt like every casualty roll I made against you, it was like up 10, 12, like, it was just
Yeah, them yellow NAF dice, mate. I saw them 2 NAF logos more than you would believe.
It's fantastic.
Honestly,
do you mind if
it were getting to a point where, as he'd roll a POW, and we'd lay my player down, and I would just pick her up and hover her over the casualty box, waiting for him to roll the dice.
I think it was a bad omen. Like, the first block of the game was a casualty, wasn't it? Knocked out.
Yeah.
It killed one of your guard blockers, and I was like, oh wow.
Come on, guys, what were you saying, mate?
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't mind as well, and I know he listens to this. He's probably the first person that listens to this. We had a new player playing at Warhammer World, a young lad called Callum, and I know we've shouted out about him before, and it was his first ever proper tournament, and he came away with a 2-0-3, and one of his wins was a 5-0 win.
Yeah, that was his final game. Yeah.
And and he came over to me. I think it must have been about half time, and I was concentrating because I was playing Caleb on that last game. And he said, "Oh, I'm 2-0 up at half time, or 2-0 up, you know." And it was about half time, I think it was. And he was well chuffed, and he just wanted to share it with someone. And when he came over to me at the end, and I was still playing, and he was like, "I've just won." I was like, "Oh, that's absolutely fantastic." And then he said 5-0, and I was like, "What? What? 5? Yeah." So fair play to him, you know, and that was his first experience, and he's even more addicted to the game than he was before. He's been playing less than a year, so yeah, it's not just about
right.
us getting fellow geeks on board.
Oh, Steve,
he's obviously very, very lucky.
A little child you could grow a beard that a cat could lick off, beat you like no. No, to be fair, no. No, to be fair, Callum was absolutely wonderful. He was, I was following his journey. I enjoyed it a lot, and also what I found funny at the end when I was like, yeah, that was my score. I got a 0-1-4. He's just like, just saying, Steve, I voted humans. So he was one of the few nomads. One of the few nomads. He said, you should have taken humans. I said humans. So Callum,
I think,
oh, sorry, I was going to say, Callum, my Bugman's
Go
is
on.
my Bugman's is on you, Callum. Like, you know, so.
I think a good thing to, regardless of how anybody did, I think a good topic of discussion is if we could go back in time to the Thursday before, and would we do anything different with not team selection in terms of the roster that we could build?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100.
yeah. Oh man. Like, I've taken corn a few times, and they're they're always good fun, but sometimes they just self-destruct. The type of corn roster I've generally kind of taken. I've taken it to Warhammer a couple of times. Is a fun one. So I take a star player. So I took Grashnak before because I love the model, and I was like, oh, I want to get Grashnak in. But it was like Grashnaks and Bloodseekers and a bunch of jumps. And then this one, I took Max Spleen Ripper just for the thematic, and I like the figure, and but I would never take him again. Oh wow, like it was like, because the thing with Khorne I found is the more marauders they have, the more they struggle, because marauders, in my opinion, genuinely are probably the worst positioner on the entire game. like because they're like a human lineman in stats. They've got frenzy, which is the difference, but they've got armor 8. So there's like a human lineman, but that armor 8 is massive because they just get taken out every single time, it seems.
Yeah.
Because they frenzy themselves into bad positions if you use them for that. And so yeah, I would definitely, if I was going to take I think kind of take a Khorne roster to maybe do a bit better. Like I said, I wasn't bothered about doing better there. I think if I would take the 4 Khorne Gores. Over Max. I'd still take the Blood. The Bloodspawn is super fun. Like, he doesn't always behave, but when he does, he's such good fun.
Yeah. What about you, Ash? Would you make any changes to your roster?
Yeah, so the role I had for the Death Roller was a fouling piece, and obviously with the sneak you get and the bribe, stay as long as possible. Never got past turn 4. So if I was to do it again, I'd remove the Death Roller, remove the bribe, and I would have put Griffin. Because he seemed to.
Oh, no.
Griffin would walk in.
I'm just having a look how you boot somebody out of recording halfway through.
Griff.
Yeah, so that's where I would go. Skill-wise, guard. Yeah, so I was going to say, skill-wise, Mighty Blow didn't do much for me. I'd either got past or miles under, so I'd go with guard with those. I think that would make, very scary list.
So dwarves are guard and Griff. Christ, like you wouldn't have made any extra friends that week.
You fucking need Nomads because you won't, like you said, you won't make any
yeah, exactly. No one else will be talking to you.
What about you, Gaz? Would you do it different, Gaz?
No, I found my perfect human roster. I had something different a week before, and I don't know if you remember, but before the tournament, I had a week away with a few of the lads playing board games, and in Wales. And before I went away to Wales, I spoke to you about. We were cottaging, yeah. Yeah, we went to a cottage in Wales, and I've since learned what cottaging is. We definitely was no cottaging going on at all. We were just in a cottage in Wales, did a bit of walking, and we played lots of board games. But yes, humans. I was going to go with one thrower, wasn't I? And more catchers, and I didn't. I reverted back to 2 throwers, 2 catchers, and I was really, really happy I did it. And then I basically just spammed block and guard. I think did I block on my catchers? Yeah, block on both my catchers and my ogre, and then I spam guard. So yeah, I was super happy with it. I don't have the skill to be able to keep my guard players where I need them. Right. So having 4 guard players meant that even if I got pulled out, I've still got players. And there's loads. Like I think Steve was saying, he learnt loads. I learnt loads over that weekend as well. I've genuinely thought, and it's my last time playing humans, but I genuinely thought I've really, really had a nice go with humans. Really, really enjoyed it, and I can see me going back to them at some point.
Very nice. What about you, Steve? Would you make any? I know you're moving on to a different team.
Yeah.
Actually, let me ask you. You're moving on to a different team for Belter. Is there any particular reason you're moving away from Wood Elves after such a short experience onto another one? Is it maybe you feel you're not experienced enough to manage that low armor or something like that? Or
No. So purely, I'm moving over because I just want to see how humans play. I do think 100%. So would I change? To go back to the original question, would I change anything? No, I wouldn't change anything. I would use what I've had as practice. I'm going to be playing with Wood Elves, God knows, as much as possible with the setup that I've got, because when I got them to work, they worked. They were phenomenal. Like I was mid pitch, 4 players, completely surrounded, and I got a touchdown in that turn. And that happened twice, 3 times. I was playing. It's like one of my games was playing against Skaven, and it was such end to end play, and all it was just it. I hate to say it, but it was a dice roll. It was a nuffle. It was literally, if we managed to pick that ball up at that point, like there was one point we were fighting along his touchline, going back and forth, because the ball was just bouncing between us. Then we're knocking it out of each other's hands, and it was that kind of stuff. Like so would I change anything with Wood Elves? No. Why am I changing over to humans? I want to see if the team that I put in would be any different. Just I want to experience them in a tournament setting with what I've learned as well. And then I want to figure out. So, I mean, to be honest with you, what might happen is where we got that tournament in January coming up, I might take Wood Elves to that one, or I might take humans. I don't know. But I am painting up humans. I have a team roster for humans already lined up. I've got an idea how I think it's going to be my kind of play style, because I do like the passing and throwing. But the one thing I kept saying, I wanted something just a little bit stronger, and that's where I was getting knocked about. Like I would get into a cage and I shouldn't be in cages, and that was the problem. I wasn't moving quick enough, and I was suffering on it. And when I had to move, when movement was life, it worked. So it's those kind of things. So would I change anything? No. Humans I want to try out because I just want to see if I can play any different, and we'll see what comes. But at the present moment, humans for Bugmans, and we'll go from there.
Nice.
yeah, I think in terms of if I would change anything, I can't really change my roster because I'd taken max positionals, because obviously you can only take 2 of each with Amazons, and I had 4 rerolls, so there's not much wiggle room there in terms of what would you do differently.
How did your 2 kegs work for you?
Spot on. Pretty much every single person I had knocked out throughout the entire weekend came back, so they did their job.
Brilliant.
But I think, and I could be looking at this through a little bit of not bias, but because I knew the teams that I ended up playing against, I think I would have probably fared better with either more guard or even spamming block to get even more blodgers, because in at least 3 out of the 5 games, I had players off the pitch within the first 2 or 3 turns, and I don't think I went through. I think the only game that I didn't have at least 4 players casualtied were our game, Steve. But even then, I still had two casualties.
Yeah.
So I think the problem that I had is I think I went in and played them a little bit too much like elves. But what you got to realise is that yes, they're armor 8, but their armor 8 isn't made up for in ridiculous movement and agility. It's made up in other ways. You've got strength 4 piece and things like that. So I think, I think as boring as it is, I would have probably spammed the block to get a ton of blodgers or 1 or 2 more guard pieces to, spread out, like it overall improve my strength so that, I'm getting bigger blocks, or it's harder for players to get 2 blocks against me, things like that. I think that's probably the only change that I would make. I had a rough dice weekend again for the most part. 80% of the time, but they showed a little bit of light in mine and Steve's game, and my dice weren't terrible in mine and your games, Tom. It's just that yours were better, faster. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think in our game it wasn't your dice. It was just the fact that my dice were hot. No, it's just the amount of removals, wasn't it? That it just put you in a position where you couldn't really do too much. To be honest. That's partly the kind of Amazon's weakness, I guess. Is if you take too many of them out, they do struggle a little bit, even with those 2 strength 4 pieces. Did you over the weekend? Did you manage to kind of use it? Is it the blitzers that have got hit and run, which I think is actually, if you use it right, it's a really nice little.
Well, I used it quite a lot, but I found out about a week before that, and you know what, I might say this now, and somebody might say, no, that's not correct. But apparently, hit and run, you can't move into a square where you're even marked by a prone player.
I didn't know that.
It literally
I
cannot
know
be.
it's just a kind of handy thing to get yourself out of base contact.
Yeah,
I didn't know
absolutely.
that. I didn't know
But
that meant.
apparently, you cannot end in a square adjacent to either an opposing standing or prone player.
So just not occupied.
Yeah, if somebody listening has played Amazons a little bit more and is a bit more familiar with hit and run and wants to correct that, but yeah, I found that out a week before, but it didn't come up that often. I always pretty much always had space, to be fair, but it is useful. Like like if you want to, like you say, get away from people, really force that blitz or stop them from being smashed next turn. It is useful, and I like to say I do think that it were a combination of probably would have tweaked my roster. The dice in some of my games weren't very good, and I probably played them wrong. Probably played them a little bit too much like elves. If looking back, if I'm honest with myself, but I enjoyed them. I did enjoy using them, and I will probably use them again. But I'll probably be a little bit more careful about what sort of skills they give them. I might even try star players. Some of their star players, like Boa Constrictor and stuff, are actually really good.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of Amazons. They've got that who's the new lizard star player? Is it Andy Pandy or something something weird like that? Hanky
Panky.
Yeah, something like that.
Pandy.
It's a Saurus, isn't it? Essentially, it is actually something like that. But I quite like the idea of having because that's the thing I think the Amazons kind of lack a little bit is a big guy.
Yeah.
So I think if you can find a way of getting a good big guy on there, doesn't cost too much, then I think that's quite interesting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So in regards to obviously, well, first of all, what's the next event everyone's got in the calendar?
I hear there's
There
this
is an
funny
event
old
that's just been
thing.
announced today.
Oh,
Yeah, there's been one. There's been sorry, mate. There's been an event that's been announced today, hasn't there? Which would probably be worth a shout out. It looks like El Planet 4 is doing something for Spain in the 30th of November in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And I know that it's about 2 hours away from me, but I think I might be busy that weekend, which I'm a bit gutted about. Or in the evening, so I've got to be back for it. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. But I know Incom in Cheltenham, that was where Banjo Dan was born. So
Yeah.
good venue. Yeah, it's a great venue and a good cause. He's doing it for obviously all the stuff that's going on in Spain and the flooding. It's raising
I think
money.
someone in chat mentioned something I might do, so I can't go, but I might buy a ticket. But just tell them I can't go. But just as a kind of donation, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a cracking
like
idea. I think if I can't go, I'll do the same.
Yeah, probably a good shout. I think it was Emilio was speaking in general chat earlier in Nomads. He's been directly affected, living in some areas where alt flooding is. So yeah, wishing him safety and wellness, and I hope they raise a lot of money to help people who've been affected. I think he even said that did he say he managed to pick his kids up 10 minutes from
30 minutes,
before,
30 minutes beforehand.
like.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. But it's fantastic that what is technically a board game and a group of nerds, have immediately
Geeks.
said, "Oh, we need to,
We're not
we need to
nerds.
do something."
We're not nerds, we're geeks.
Apologies for that, guys.
Not smart enough to be nerds.
Just ignore that nerd down there. Just ignore that nerd.
Forget about
I think my next event, I'm taking my foot off at pedal foot rested this year, I think. But my next event is your tournament in January, Gary.
Yeah, Scrumpers are doing a tournament, their first ever tournament. So we've our Southwest Scrumpers. There's 4 of us. Me, Brian, Ed, and Sean. You guys didn't meet Sean because he couldn't make it to the Full Beard. But we've put a team in for Home Nations, and we're desperate just to keep getting as many games. And down in the Southwest, sort of in between Exeter and Taunton, there's not lots going on. In the Southwest, there's loads going on over on the east side of the Southwest, over Poolway and all of that. And I think the closest we normally get is sort of Yeovil and Bristol. This stuff happens down in Plymouth. There was one in Exeter last year, but I think what we just decided, and because Sean is he works at the castle, the Taunton Museum, Taunton Castle. He basically just said, "Look, why don't you see if you can use these rooms?" So we went and had a look at them, and it's like, what a brilliant venue! It's a gorgeous castle, and we're going to have a Blood Bowl tournament there. So
what's the tournament called, Gav?
A Battlements Bash.
Love it. Love that name.
Yeah.
And that's in the beginning of January, isn't it?
Mid-January, yeah. I think it's 18th, is it?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And there's a couple of familiar faces attending, isn't there?
There's quite a lot. Yeah, I think we've got. I think there's about 9 Nomads going.
Yeah.
Steve's going.
Yeah.
Baz is going. I'm going. The Scrumpers will be there. The Scrumpers has become a thing. And there's some good Southwest players going as well. So I think Nazgob, we're sold out, by the way. So apologies if you're interested in going, but we have actually sold out. And we've got a reserve list of 4 people as well. Glowworm's going, Lunch Money's going, Nazgob's going. There's a few other of the Southwest tournament organizer guys are going. It's proved really, really popular. It's sold out in 3 days.
Oh, I'm going for the wooden spoon. I'm going for the wooden spoon.
That's going to be mine. I'm having that. I'll fight you for it.
Are you playing then, guys, as well?
I'm definitely going to be there, but as is always the way with tournaments, between the 4 of us, they all took one step back, and when we said who is going to be the spare person, and then I was left there standing there. So I've royally volunteered to be the spare person. Those 3 are going to get their 3 games, and then if anything on the day happens, I will be either playing, hopefully, if 24 people are there. But if somebody else turns up and wants a game, or if one person doesn't, and I have to drop out, then I'm going to be that odd player.
Yeah, so it's always good to have that odd player. Are you using tour play? Have you decided any of that?
I use tour play. Yeah, we're going to use tour
Nice.
play. First time we've done it in a tournament. All right, first time our guys have done it in a tournament. I think it'll be good. I'm hoping it'll be good. And I tell you what, I really wanted to say thanks to the Southwest tournament series organisers. I know Nazgob is in charge of that. Lunch Money's our Southwest NAF guy, and Glowworm's down here. But all the other guys as well. They're all so helpful. So if you started playing Blood Bowl and you don't have enough Blood Bowl tournaments in your area, then just go and make one. Because it's actually really easy if you just ask. If you want us to reach out to us as a group, and we'll point you in the right direction of a whole bunch of people. Because everybody who plays Blood Bowl is the same as anybody listening to this. We just want to play more Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the national scene and the regional scene and the local scene is rammed at the moment. You can't pick a weekend where there isn't a Blood Bowl tournament. But just because there's a Blood Bowl tournament up north doesn't mean to say you can't run one down south, and vice versa. So there's nothing local, and you've got a gaming club or a hall that's got a capacity of 20, 30, 40 people. Just run one. Yeah,
it's also worth mentioning as well, guys, that as you just said in terms of proximity to other tournaments, if you are planning on submitting it for NAF approval, they use that as a parameter as well. They will not approve your tournament if it is what they deem too close to another one on the same day.
Yeah, and ours is overlapping a few different things. So we had to move ours because it was a little bit close. So I know that one of the Southwest tournaments is the week before. Normally we try to have 2 weeks, but also ours is on the same weekend as the Welsh Open. Which isn't great because some of those players that go to the Welsh Open wanted to come. So I know Cornish put a post on saying that he would have liked to have come down. I think Cornish plays up in Cheltenham, so he'll probably be at the thing on the 30th of November. But what's happened is we found a venue down here in Exeter as well that could probably hold up to 80, 100 people, and the venue's really, really dirt cheap. And it snowballed a bit quickly. I think, Baz, you had to reel me in during the week, didn't you? Because I was saying, right, we're going to have 17 tournaments in this place, and that's going to be it. And we've
don't go into too much detail, because I will become a certified party pooper. But I think I was just a realist in that situation.
I got carried away in the fun of organising a tournament, and you basically said, look, you've got a venue, you've got some stuff, get January done, get that out of the way, you've got a date. take it from there. And it was like, it was very good advice. So if you are going to organise a tournament, definitely use the community, but also make sure you've got a sounding board that will hold you back when the addiction kicks in.
And what about you, Ash? I know you're pretty active, not only in Blood Bowl, but you play a couple of different other games, and you seem to be, I've seen your Instagram stories, you seem to be either playing league matches or at events pretty much all the time. So what's in your calendar at the minute, mate?
Well, calendar's really full. I looked at the tournament Gary's organising, and I was kind of like, I've collided with it. Going up to Warhammer World this week for a different game for Heresy. I have planned to go to Warfare and High Wycombe's 2-dayer before the end of the calendar year. And then I'm looking at my local community in Aldershot, helping out organise events in our local area to get a few more down round where we are, because we've got quite a few, but Aldershot's got a lot of players. It just only has 2 or 3 events a year, so it'd be nice to kick that up a couple of gears. So I'm helping out in that sort of way. And obviously coming with you guys to the Belter, obviously the ticket went up last night, tonight. So, but yeah, I've got probably 5 or 6 tournaments booked coming up. So I'm just seem to be hitting it hard with the Blood Bowl events.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. If you've got the time and the money, anybody who says that you're doing the wrong thing is only jealous. What about you, Tom? What you got in calendar, mate?
I think right now I've got one coming up in December, Langdon Bowl, which only went on sale the other day, so I've picked that up because I was looking for something towards the end of the year. I'm really desperate actually to run a tournament as well. I've run a couple and I've loved it. Just a couple of sevens events, and I really want to do like a local gutter bowl event for just before Christmas. I'm looking into a couple of venues for that. So I've got like an idea to have like a Christmas market themed kind of gutter bowl tournament that I'm trying to get sorted out. So it's not going to be like a huge amount of people, but maybe kind of like 10, 12 people, something like that, just a kind of short thing. So I'll try to get that sort of before the end of the year. And then I've got obviously Bugman's, which I was very, very grateful to get a ticket for this evening. There's a bit of a kind of mad rush, as Ash alluded to before, and I managed to, one of the other Nomads, another benefit of Nomads, one of the other Nomads picked up a couple and managed to get it on, which was awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Those fucking Nomad scalpers.
I can't remember what it is. We're just trying to get more people to there.
I did at one point when everyone walked. Go on.
I know. I was going to say, Tom, how much did you actually pay? How much did you pay for that ticket? How much was it? Was that £200? Was it
£700?
Yeah.
I did for a little moment when everyone woke, because I were in and out. Obviously, it's 7 o'clock this evening, like just under 2 hours ago. I were in and out. I got my confirmation email at 1 minute past. So when everyone else were like, "Oh, I can't get in. Why am I getting this screen?" I was like, "Oh my god, have Nomads actually broken Eventbrite?"
I think that the Belter in particular is like a really super popular tournament as well, because it's the Super Bowl as well. Obviously, a lot of people who are also NFL fans going to come down for that, and so very, very grateful to get tickets for that. So it was about half an hour, wasn't it, that it sold out?
Yeah.
Is it saying?
Yeah, it's sold out. It's sold out in half an hour. So when Tom was trying to get a ticket, it was all gone.
Way.
And just in the
crazy.
chat, there's 19 Nomads going. I think there's one spare ticket, so it's 18 Nomads at the present moment going.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we're
Because
already.
I went, like we said earlier, I went to that on my.
I was going to say it's already quartered the event.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
a quarter of the event, and I think luckily, everybody who wanted a ticket managed to get one. And obviously, Tom mentioned that Gaz had picked, not this Gary, or the other Gaz had picked up a spare, and we've got that off him.
Legend.
So yeah, like Tom says, that's another benefit of the Nomads. We always overbuy.
Yeah, I think also, it's going to be really interesting actually, because obviously, I don't know if we mentioned it at the start on the pod or just before, but last time around, I went to Bugman's Bells on my own. I didn't know anyone, and obviously, generally kind of chat to a few people that are there and stuff, but didn't know a single person. So the fact I know at least 20 people there this time, which have even more of a laugh, is absolutely amazing.
I think, well, back at Belter, me and Gary met at the Belter. Me and Steve met Gary, but me and Steve even though we'd been speaking online for 6 months, that were actually the first time we met in person as well, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it was first time.
Yeah, it's just mad to. By then, it will have been because obviously Nomads was started like what 4 or 5 days after Bugman's Belter.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be a fast approaching anniversary. We're at like 115 members, and there's going to be 20 people there. That a quarter at tickets of people that already know each other. 20 people at an 80 ticket event. We're going to be playing each other like crazy, aren't we? Yeah. Surely.
Rigging it.
I'm calling match fixing. I'm calling match fixing.
Someone working their way to the top. Yeah.
Yeah, you sit against a Nomad and you've lost all your games, but this Nomad's on 2 wins. You just say, listen, just
this
put
guy's
in
got
that
12 casualties. Has he done that?
Put in that you won 5-0 and team wipes me with all casualties.
It would have looked proper weird, wouldn't it? If I actually had won the most cas.
There were a lot of 5-0s.
Yeah, there were.
That's why I lost. To be fair, that's why I lost 5-0. I admit it. I let Ed win 5-0.
If Ed's listening, right?
It wasn't my own incompetence. It wasn't my own dice. I let it.
I tell you what, when Vamps work, they work, don't they?
Oh, it's ridiculous. And that was the thing. And it wasn't Ed's fault because Ed was just like he was rolling like really well, but I was rolling terribly. It's just the way it goes sometimes. When Vamps work, they are just absolutely amazing.
Ed as well. I think we've said on the podcast a few times. Ed has had like 9 months of hell with dice rolls and Blood Bowl. It's almost as if I don't know if you remember us saying on one of the previous ones, but he took gnomes to a league, and because the TV was so low, he managed to get Griff 3 times in a row, and Griff did a go for it, and 3 times in a row, 3 matches in a row, did a go for it, fell over 12, 12, 16.
Oh,
3 times in a row.
That's awful.
And he's just ones. If you ever meet Ed, he's the nicest, loveliest bloke, right? And he's got a wicked sense of humour. He's taken, and he said it's actually been a really good coping mechanism. He's got lots of dice, and he's taken to putting his ones off to the side and not using them again. So at the end of the match, he can go, yeah, that's all the ones I rolled, and he knows then that that's the size of the problem. And it's not his problem; it's that problem there.
He's got the wrong weighted dice. The wrong way weighted dice.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that night when we went back to the Airbnb, me and Ed had a half. We didn't even get through a half. He was just like, no, I don't want to punish myself anymore. We actually gave him a different set of dice, didn't we? I don't know if you remember, or was it? No, that was you that we did that to. Yeah. But we gave him a different set of dice, and he rolled 6s straight on them. And I think you did the same, didn't you? You got another set of dice. So it's like, how is this even? And then we got some of your dice, and we got some of Ed's dice, and we rolled them, and we were rolling absolutely fine with them. You've got to be a certain type of person, haven't you, to play Blood Bowl? You've got to put up with.
We were sat having breakfast on Sunday morning before we set off, and Ed had given me the old edition Goblin dice, the black and yellow ones, and you guys were rolling them just as we were talking, and Gary rolled a 6, Callum rolled a 5, Gary rolled another 6, Steve rolled a 5, and I reached out, grabbed one, rolled it 1. And I just like, that's either me getting all the bad rolls out, or that's an omen for the day. And to be fair, they did end up serving me well. Like I say, the second day, my dice weren't, the dice were definitely not an excuse. I couldn't use them as an excuse in the second day. They were absolutely fine. They served me well in my game against Steve, and as I say, in game with Tom, my dice were absolutely fine. It's just that Tom's were far better, far faster, so I were at a number disadvantage. By what? By turn 4, I think you'd taken somebody out every turn?
Yeah, well, more than one, but I think in a couple of those turns as well. I got very lucky. I put it down because obviously I've been using using the Nuffle slam mat the whole weekend, apart from that last game. So maybe it was that. Maybe it's the Nuffle slam mat that cursed me. I'm going to blame that. So that's my excuse.
I didn't know they were slam mats. I thought they were mud coasters.
I think I've got a picture of just how horrific. There we go. Let's see if we can get this on camera. This is what my dugout looked at the end of the game against Tom. So that's seven casualties and 3 KO'd.
You had one bench, didn't you?
One too little to get the most cas. Just what I want. All I needed.
Yeah. And the fact that, like I said that I really enjoyed our game despite you're killing the majority of my team. But I think the fact that when it came up on the screen saying the guy who'd won had 20, the fact that I turned around to you and went, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
It's just testament to the fact that I was rooting you on. Like, yeah, come on, kill another, go on.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a really, really fun way to end the weekend, I think, as well. I mean, because that's, you know what, it was huge as well, because I think if I hadn't known you, if I was just on my own again at a tournament and I had those dice rolls against someone I didn't know and they were having a terrible time, that would have been an awful way to end the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, if it was someone who was like, "Oh, fuck this," fuck you, and you're fucking breaking armor every time, but because it was you. And it was, we could both, I guess, embrace how ridiculous it was, and it was just fun. So that was a really nice way, such a nice way to end the weekend.
Yeah,
I felt really sorry as well for Caleb in my last game because it was tight. It was 0-0, and I can't remember if it was turn 16 or what, but neither of us should have won that game. It was so awful. But his dice rolls were so bad, they were the worst I'd seen all weekend. And poor lad was like, "How on earth have you won that 1-0?" So, sorry, Caleb. He's such a lovely bloke as well.
It's just the way it is, isn't it? And I think that, I know Tom just said the lovely way to end weekend for our game, but an even lovelier way is, obviously, we had some Nomads, although we didn't get
some winners, yeah.
We didn't get the glitziest prizes. We got what I think are some of the most important. Here we go. Look, here we go. He's getting it.
Fucking hell! Put it away,
Gary. What did you win, Gaz?
The loveliest person award.
You came first place for the Fair Play Award.
Fair Play Award, yeah. So my 5 opponents all voted for me for their Fair Play Award.
But to be fair, there was also something like 5 other people whose 5 opponents also voted for them. So you beat all of them. That's pretty awesome. I genuinely think that's probably obviously apart from winning it, but one of the best awards to win.
Yeah,
any tournament, but that tournament especially, because the whole atmosphere, the whole thing. I spoke to the organizer, and I can't remember his name. Listening to those guys, this guy with the beard, but he was saying he was just really impressed at how the atmosphere was the whole weekend. There was no issues there. They had no issues whatsoever. No arguments, no rules, like big kind of rules debates or anything like that. So the whole weekend was just done in such a lovely way. So to get that award in that environment where everyone was just really nice, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I was pretty made up. I was quite shocked, wasn't I?
We had Rory, who got a medal for second place for that.
Yes.
As well as another gentleman who joined Nomads after the weekend, who's I don't know his actual name, but his handle on WhatsApp is Mirko. He was the second place. He was joint second place with Rory for the medal for Fair Play. Then we had Rory won first place in. I hate the name of this award because the award is favourite team. It should just be best painted because that's what people are judging it on, really, aren't they?
Yeah, I got the second place to Rory.
Yeah, and I was
very chuffed on my second place.
Tom came second place in that as well. Fantastic.
I'm still waiting for my wooden spoon in the post.
What are you saying, Tom?
For people who weren't there, I think the reason it's called favourite team is because what it also, I guess, represents isn't just the painting. Because Rory himself is I'm not the greatest painter in the world. He's pretty amazing, but his conversion. So what Rory had done, for people who haven't seen his team, was he had a Snotling team, but they're all converted to Nurgle, or kind of Nurglings and stuff like that. But the detail that he put in was
everything was different as well, wasn't it?
It's so good. like to see it. Because one of the things I looked at him was like, oh, they look awesome, but then I just thought, oh, that he's just a nervous thing. But I didn't realise how much effort that he put into converting them all, and all the green stuff and all the different bits and stuff he used. So like, it was really cool, because he even said himself that he goes to other tournaments, he's not going to win best painted. But so I think the favourite team thing was actually quite apt to him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I didn't really think of it like that. Yeah, that's probably fair. It broadens the horizons of the award a little bit, doesn't it? I suppose.
He did have a moment though, didn't he?
What?
He had a bit of a moment. I think I've got one, and quite a few people have got these opening up cases. Mine's a Charlie Victor one.
Oh yeah.
And the guy on the table next to him, he had his team on the table, did Rory, and the guy on the table next to him opened his thing up, and it just boom, came down on the top of Rory's team. And I think it did break a couple of things, but he glued them all back together.
I would have been furious.
It didn't even, and I don't know, I wasn't there, right?
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
But I don't think he even acknowledged. He mustn't have known. He mustn't have known that he'd squashed somebody's team, because I would be mortified.
Oh, God, yeah.
No, Gary. I don't even know who it was, so obviously I can't name and shame. But I said to Rory, I said, did you say anything? He said, yeah, I told him. And I says, and did he apologise? He said, no, not really.
Well, and us talking about that is a real testament to what the Blood Bowl tournament is like. If that's the worst that we found over the weekend, right? Blood Bowlers we're a special breed, I think. We put up with ones, we put up with sixes, and you just have to put up with the shit and the highs and the lows and not worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what teams is? I know Steve's mentioned that he's moving on to humans, but what teams is everybody else either trying for the first time or going back to? Like, what's your next thing? Are you going to stick with dwarves, Ash, or are you moving on to something else?
So till the end of the year, I'll be going to tournaments with my dwarves. I'll be doing a no death roller build just to see how that works out.
Which tournaments are you going to again? Just so we can avoid them.
So in the new year, picked up Necro and Norse. So I did put a poll out to the Nomads to see what next GW event, what team. I got my opponents to suggest teams, and the winner was Norse, and it was something that I'm interested in playing anyway. And the Necro will be probably for league play and some other tournaments as well. So I've got slightly different to the dwarves. Let's put it that way.
Just a little bit. And have you had enough interactions with Norse to know enough about them, or you going in partially blind, or
going in fresh, completely fresh with them? So it's going to be fun. It's going to be an experience. But I like the challenge of learning a new team. I play Wood Elves in League in my local store, and then play Dwarves in tournaments. It's complete polar opposites. And now I'm exploring down the middle to get an experience with all the teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What about you guys? I know what team you're playing next, but for the benefit of everybody else and the listeners.
Already started playing them.
Yeah.
Didn't waste any time when I got back. I got a message from Ed, who we were talking about earlier on, who kindly whipped your ass earlier, Tom, in the tournament. But I got a message from him on the Monday night after we'd got back on the Sunday, saying I'm getting withdrawal symptoms, and I asked him if it was of withdrawal symptoms of me or of Blood Bowl, and he said both. So luckily, we got on and we played a couple of halves of Blood Bowl, and I've gone with Amazons, and I'm doing exactly the build that you said that you would go with at the moment. I've absolutely spammed block, and it is strong. It is so strong, it's unbelievable. And how have they got so much money? That's what I want to know, because at the Full Beard Cup we were 1,200 with 6 skills. You spam block, right? You've got blodgers across the team, but you get 4 rerolls and 2 kegs. So what me and Ed played at the weekend was, earlier in the week, was 1150. So I had to make the decision, am I going to drop a reroll or drop a keg? And I played one half with one and one half with another. And I think I'd probably I think I'd err on the 4 re-rolls. I think, but you don't need re-rolls, do you? If you've got blodgers all across the board, so maybe a bribe I might play with.
Yeah,
A bit of fouling.
Yeah.
Could you not squeeze in dribble and draw?
That's a shout.
That's such a filthy mind, Ash. Such a filthy mind.
That's a dwarf coach there, right there.
They are
Death roller coach.
That's the type of coach who takes dwarfs and griff.
So what price are they then?
Can't remember off the top of my head.
Anybody know?
But-
No. I'll have a look. Yeah, I'll have a look at them and see if they're see if I
They're
can
not
squeeze them
too
in.
pricey.
No, I don't think they are.
260, I want to say, something like that.
And are these the little lizards? Are they?
Yeah, one's got stab, and the other one do?
Oh, I've got the price in front of me. Let's have a little guessing game. How much do you think it is for the both of them?
£22.50.
No, I mean fucking roster-wise, you did.
I'm sticking with £22.50.
Higher or lower?
260, so I'll stick with that.
260. No.
It is significantly lower.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 175.
Okay, Ash.
I'm gonna go lower than that.
What did you say, Ash?
180.
180. Do you want to have a guess, Steve?
Fuck's sake, I was going to do 177 then.
181.
Ash is the winner. They are 190k. You were the closest.
That was fucking my one.
Should have gone 181.
That is insane. Wow. And what is their special ability? A sneaky pair.
So if they, if I remember correctly, because I did face it in the full bid, Amazons with dribble and draw. If they're next to each other, one of them's good at fouling, the other one's good at stabbing, but you get +1 to the roll, I believe, for it, and they've got dirty player as well. So it's just an option of the Amazons knock a player down to the ground. You get dribble and draw, foul them off the pitch, and away you go.
Foul every turn.
Oh my god. Yeah. For 190 as well, that's great. That's great. I could have easily dropped both kegs and 2 re-rolls and took them.
They only count as 1-star player as well, don't they? They come as a pair.
Yeah.
Like all those pairs, they count as just one. So
Yeah, and
two
Warhammer
extra, 2 extra
World.
bodies as well.
Yeah, Warhammer World, you don't have a cost for apart from the the gold cost, you don't have a cost for the star players. In some tournaments, you've got to spend skill points for your star players, don't you?
Right. Yeah. And you still have to do it at Warhammer World.
I don't think you did you?
Yeah, you have to spend.
They cost skill points.
Yeah, it's
Do they?
2. It's just 2. Unless they're
Right.
mega stars. I don't think they're classed as mega stars. If they're mega stars, they cost 4. But
Yeah.
I don't think they class as mega stars.
Yeah, we're not. The tournament in Taunton in January, we're not charging people above the gold for star players,
You expect to see a lot
No.
of grift then.
and all casualties count. All casualties.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Always the way.
I think it's fucking ridiculous. I even think that surf casualties should count as a casualty
count.
for the player.
They count.
Yeah,
Because
definitely
the way I see it is that player would not have ended up in the crowd if it was not for me, so I should still be awarded that, regardless of whether it were actually my player thematically that did it or not.
Yeah, we just want there to be a load of dirty beating each other up. It's a resurrection tournament. Doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah. Speaking as a player who uses a lot of frenzy, I definitely think surfing players should that's really intense.
Yeah. What about you, Tom? What have you got your eyes on? What team you're going to give some affection next?
Well, I'm going to finish the year at 20 corn and finish it out. See if I can. I've got them in a league at the moment. I'm getting battered in that as well. They're just dissolving, but I'm going to try and get better with them. So I'm going to take them to Langdon Bowl. So that'll be fun. And then my plan is, and I've been doing a bit of practice with them, is to take Woody's the NAFC next year. It'll be my first ever NAFC. It'll be a load of us Nomads going to that as well, which I'm really looking forward to doing that. And I'm really trying hard to kind of learn what else at the moment. As well, I was saying about Steve taking them to one of his first tournaments. I find them really tricky to kind of get my head around them. So I generally always kind of play bash teams, but to Bugman's next year, I'm taking Orcs. simply because I played orcs quite a bit. I played in another league, but I've also got I don't really see it on here, but like the old third ed metal orcs. I want to give them a kind of little run out at Warhammer World, which kind of feels nice. I love those models, so it'd be really cool to kind of take them to Warhammer World, give them a little send off.
Very cathartic, that, isn't it? An old school metal team at Warhammer World.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of next things for me, I think I'm gonna go back to Wood Elves for a little bit. I think not only because of my shit run, but because Gary has very nicely printed me the what? Oh, is it Ugni?
Yeah.
No, were they Ugni? Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they are.
The ones with the wings.
Yeah, I think I printed some for Tom as well, but I've got to print him some more, unfortunately.
No, it's actually okay because I nearly fucked them up because I washed them and they came out like they were fucking like rubber. They came out of like the washer footage. Remember like monster in my pocket? Do you remember those little things? Like they came out like that, but they're actually okay now. To be fair, I think they're all right.
Are they actually okay? Do you need me to do something?
Yeah, no, I genuinely, I was going to message you before, but yeah, I think they should be okay. Fingers crossed. But yeah, thank you for that. The prints that you did are so nice. They're genuinely like, because I had some before, and they were like made of sugar or something. So brittle, but the ones that you've done are really good quality. So thank you.
That's that flexi resin, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, it's I'm the same with everything on. I research and procrastinate and research and I find loads of stuff out and then I try stuff out. But I've got this ABS stuff that's really great. It's hard but not brittle. And then I found that if you put like sort of 10-20% of this rubberized resin in, it makes them really not necessarily flexible, just gives them a bit of give.
Yeah.
So it's good for models, for miniatures, because we don't put our hands all over them and just throw them about, don't we?
No, absolutely. Did you mention then as well, Tom, that are you gonna NAF Champs?
Yes. Yeah, again, NAF Champs next year. Like, I think there's quite a few Nomads going there, so it'd be my first ever time. So I know that Gary, you've mentioned you've been before and stuff, but it'd be my first ever time, so I'm really looking forward to it. I've never been at a whole event that size before.
Yeah, my first one.
My first time. No, you went this year, guys.
Yeah, that was my first one this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Be my first time next year as well. Looking forward to it.
There is something I want to say to everybody as well that are listening, because I've volunteered myself selflessly, obviously, as your stag your best man for the event, because Baz is getting married next year. So if anybody else is going to the NAFs next year, and is or isn't in Nomads, and wants to get in touch and give me any suggestions of things that we can do to Baz on his Blood Bowl stag do, then just give us a shout.
I can hear the comment section blowing up.
Yeah.
I've promised the organisers that it is going to be all light-hearted and that we're not going to ruin anybody else's event, and we're really keen not to do that. But we do want to wind you up, don't we, Baz? Well, we've already started.
No, what do you mean? What do you mean? Don't we?
Well, because there is an organising committee. I've already told you about this. We already have more than just me doing this now, and I've reached out to quite a few people, and a few people helped me do the first wind up on you, didn't they?
Yeah.
When we organised the NAF tickets, which was quite amusing because I sent a message to the Facebook site and asked I asked Dan beforehand just to reply to it, say with no, check your emails. So I put on saying and he went no, check your emails, and you were like, and I left it, I didn't do anything, and you got in touch with me and said, guys, what's this about? He's asking you to check your emails. Oh, it'll be fine, mate. I'll have a look at it tomorrow. I think you should look at it. So you were already getting a bit funnier anyway. And I think I came back to you and I said, I'm really sorry, mate, but I've made a mistake on the registration and your ticket hasn't gone through. And you were livid. And you were like, are you being serious? Why would Dan do that? Why would Dan, clearly we're going together. And it's like, I thought Dan was a really nice bloke.
I didn't.
And I said,
those are my exact words.
It's not a problem. We can put you on the reserve list. Well, fuck it, I'm not going on the reserve list. If it's going to be like that, and then I just had to put a thing on the Nomads to say, I'm ever so sorry, Baz, for winding you up. You have got a ticket, da da da. And you wrote back to me and went, you fucking dick.
Yeah, you did. You well and truly got me. I'd already messaged my missus and everything saying I'm not fucking going to that thing in May.
The next lot are already lined up, so I do apologise in advance. But at least you'll remember it, won't you?
Yeah, I'm going to be extra vigilant though, so you'll have to tread carefully.
You'll remember it, and so will the person who's handcuffed you. They'll remember it as well.
Your poor opponents, that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, fucking hell.
I think the first game, is the lipstick, I think we've agreed.
Brilliant. Listen, I'm up for a bit of fun, mate. I'm not boring and stuffy like some people out there.
I'm just going to say that needs to be sound bit, and every time something happens and he's getting really angry, you just need to play that. Like, oh, I'm up for a bit of fun, I am.
I'm not boring and stuffy. Oh dear, no. It's going to be a really, really good event, and like you said, Tom, there's loads of Nomads going, isn't there? So,
Yes.
I'm not sure that we're going to be, challenging for the top tables. Many of us. There's a few good players in Nomads, but the majority of us are not very serious about it.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm not coming there, so.
I'll go on, Steve.
I said, unfortunately, I'm not coming, so top tables are safe.
What about you, Ash? Are you going at NAF Champs?
I'm going to NAF Champs, but again, top table is they're fine.
Yeah,
they'll be all right.
No threat to those tables.
You're taking one for the team, yeah.
Yeah, I think that NAF Champs, given the level of contenders there, like us, is really, really well known, really good players. I think those are probably one of the tournaments where if you're on the top tables, you're not going to be having as good of a time because I feel like you're going to be forced to take it serious to even compete with the caliber of opponent that you're playing against.
Yeah. It's not like do you know like how like poker is a game of luck and skill, right? So you absolutely have to have to play what you get. But I think some people probably mistake Blood Bowl as when you're playing BB3 on a PlayStation or on a console or on your PC or whatever, and people take it as it's all based on dice and luck and all of that sort of stuff. These players that are at the top tables, and they're always finishing in the top 10 of tournaments, they're very good players, aren't they? They're consistently risk managing very, 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 very highly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think those type of players as well can get themselves out of jams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the kind of people that when they lose 3 or 4 players, in a game, because it'll happen to them as well, they're the kind of players that go, right, okay, what can I realistically hope to try to get out of this game? If I'm not going to get a win, can I force myself to kill 2 of their players? Right, let's aim to do that. And they'll have an objective every single game, and that'll change. And then that's fair play to them. It's brilliant. One day, maybe.
Maybe. You never know. So we're at an hour and 20 minutes. Is there anything else we want to shoehorn in before we let go? Go on, Gary.
Biscuits. You haven't mentioned biscuits once.
Come on, then we'll have 10 minutes about biscuits. And
we did say we were going to have 10 minutes of biscuits, didn't we? So I think the chat has blown up a little bit with biscuits. There's definitely going to be a Nomads biscuit cup, isn't there? I think we're calling it the Biscuit World Cup. I don't know if we can have a World Cup the first time round, but I'm not averse to that. But I'm conscious that the next step is going to have to be, we've got a list of biscuits now that everybody's put into the pot, but we're going to have to start doing a draw. And I'm just worried, genuinely, I'm concerned that things like the fig roll and the Gary Baldy will be drawn against each other, and one of them will go through to the next round. And the custard cream and the bourbon will be drawn against each other. So, do you guys want to give me a favourite biscuit? And yeah, these biscuits that you tell me will be seeded, and they'll be unseeded, and there'll be a seeded pot and an unseeded pot.
I don't like seeds in my biscuits.
You don't have to have them. So Baz has voted for a Garibaldi.
Yeah. I actually
His
want to see how
favourite
far
biscuit.
Garibaldi goes. I want to see.
I'll cancel this podcast if Garibaldi gets to final.
I was genuinely like surprised at Full Beer Cup that no Nomad had biscuits as the reroll counter. I thought someone was bound to do that.
That is
Biscuit
a
and
shout.
Yeah, and then when you use a reroll, you eat
Yeah,
it.
cheat it. Yeah, or offer it to your opponent.
Oh no, I won't do that.
Just
Well then,
crumble it
Gary,
on the
you
pitch.
pick your seed then.
My seed. Do you know what? I'm gonna go.
I don't want your seed.
Don't start this.
Gary, keep your seed away from me.
I think the first thing I said, or the last thing I said to you before we started this bloody podcast was, please, 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 can we not end with 10 minutes of laughing? Right? And look
Well,
at
if you keep your
You're a
seed
mess.
away from me, we'll be fine.
Look at
your
you.
seed
You
away.
need to take a long, hard look at yourself. Long and hard. Now what are you laughing at?
A long, hard look full of seed.
I'm going to go Lotus Biscoff.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout. It's a good seed.
Good seed, that is. Tell us your seed, Tom.
I will go for a dark chocolate digestive.
Yeah, I'm there for that.
That's a
I'm there for that.
sneaky one, that is. A dark chocolate digestive.
And also, Baz mentioned something great about dark chocolate digestives earlier. Is when they're in the house, I'm the only one that eats them. So that's why
Yeah.
they're right up there for me. Like my missus doesn't touch them, so
It's like you've got like a little safety ring around them. That's fantastic. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Go on then, Baz. What's your seed? Think long and hard about it.
I'm gonna go for a bourbon.
A bourbon.
Yeah,
There's no surprise there.
Simple, reliable, chocolatey. You know, it's not fantastic, but it's it's like McDonald's. McDonald's is not gourmet food, but you get the same standard no matter where you are in the world, and I feel like that's the same way a bourbon.
Let's leave it there.
What about we haven't got everybody else's?
Well, no. I mean, leave the description of McDonald's there. You get the same shit every single time.
I thought you were saying your defence of bourbons is that good. Let's end the episode.
No. Have you seen Ash? He's like a tiger waiting to pounce. Come on, Ash. What's your favourite biscuit? What are you putting in there?
One that hasn't been mentioned. Pink wafer.
Oh,
That's controversial. That.
not mentioned for a reason.
yeah. No, we call them Pink Panthers up here.
Really?
I see.
Yeah,
Pink-
because the packet used to have the Pink Panther on.
And, like, don't you remember? Because like it's been mentioned a few times before, like about biscuits remind you of your nan, and like don't you always remember like the ones that were when they slightly turned and they were like just cardboard. I don't know how you can get over that.
She used to open the biscuit barrel, and there'd always be those ones there.
Yeah, you buy it, it's just like cardboard. You just in the bin.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nanny.
Your nan's crispy pink wafers.
Oh, We've
So,
gone beyond.
Steve.
We've gone beyond the karaoke.
Sorry.
Oh dear.
Well, look,
I can't believe that this podcast is relying on me to be the sensible one. This is just a very sorry state of affairs.
I think so. Going
Steve,
into
what are you
it,
picking?
I am pink. I'm pinking. I'm pecking.
You're pinking?
Just to keep pink. just to keep them.
Picking a cutie pinky? What? What's that about?
Let me finish.
Picking a
Steve,
cutie pinky?
Steve, Are you having a fucking stroke?
Okay, scene. I'm
Okay.
picking custard creams.
Oh my god!
Can't get pink out of his head, couldn't
Just thinking about my nan's crusty pink wafers.
Oh no, no.
Oh god!
Woo.
I'm going to have to leave you guys. Seriously, I can't do this again.
You don't do episode
guys.
titles, do you? Because that would be the episode title. That's
Actually,
got to be the episode title.
that is going to be the episode title. John, that's
that?
crusty pink wafer.
Yeah, he's a lad. He's taken off Spotify today.
So how did the podcast
That's the way to
end?
get the listens in, isn't it? There's going to be a lot of disappointed listeners listening to this going, this is nothing about Nan's crusty pink wafers. I can't believe I signed up for this shit. They're talking about Blood Bowl and bloody biscuits. Steve, have you composed yourself yet? Have you got a hold of yourself?
I have.
Yeah. What's the biscuits?
I said custard cream.
Custard cream.
Yeah, custard cream.
What the fuck? That's anticlimactic as fuck.
No, I know, but I just because they're standard, the same as the bourbon, they're there. Like we know they need to just they're the kind of ones when you get up later on and people are picking something stupid like I don't know a Garibaldi, and against a custard cream, but otherwise if like a custard cream went against like a bourbon or something,
I can't believe how polarizing bourbons and custard creams have been. Because there is a real genuine split.
And I will interrupt you for a second. Is he's just said that, it's that people pick weird biscuits and that. But last episode, you were telling us about something called a fucking chocolate Kimberley.
Yeah, well, hey,
it's an elite Kimberley.
Elite chocolate Kimberley. Don't you go fucking dissing it.
Oh, apologies. Suddenly, because of the word elite, I've heard of it.
Fantastic.
Oh.
What else have we got? Have we got anything else?
No. What's on the list there for 5-seeded biscuits?
So we have, and I'm going to ask a couple of the other Nomads as well, just to ring fence a couple of seeded biscuits. We've got Lotus Biscoff, we've got dark chocolate digestive, bourbon, pink wafer, and custard cream.
I'll tell you what, although I don't disagree with it, pink wafer is going to be a controversial one.
I do.
So when is the World Cup taking place? When is like the?
Well, I reckon that this week, before the next pod, what we'll do is we'll get all the biscuits out. I don't know if we're going to have 16, 32 or 64, but we'll do a proper draw. And then at the next podcast, we will have rounds, first round. You don't seem to agree with this, Buzz.
Just how the fuck did it get to this?
Whoever wins, we'll take those biscuits to Buckman's Better. All of us.
Yeah, everybody's got to bring a pack. All Nomads have got to bring a pack of biscuits, but we've got to coordinate so that everyone brings something different.
Whatever biscuit wins the World Cup, we all bring that biscuit.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Everyone knows who we are.
Or if you disagreed with the winner, you bring your favourite.
What to start a biscuit coup?
Just so that we don't have to eat the same biscuit over the weekend.
Yeah.
And a bit of variety.
All right, here's one for you.
Yeah,
Here's one for you. If that were the case, if everyone did bring the same biscuit, what's one biscuit that you wouldn't mind after eating all weekend?
That you wouldn't mind, or you would mind?
You wouldn't. You would be like, oh yeah, that's fine.
See, custard cream,
Something
all the
you're
way.
not going to get bored of.
What's those like the chocolate? What do they call that? Leibowitz ones, the ones with like the chocolate around the edge.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
French
yes,
biscuits,
yeah.
You only get about 6 in a packet. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Oh, Gary, what about the Circle Foxes?
Oh, the donut ones. They're nice, they
Now,
are.
I could have them all weekend.
It'd be an expensive weekend, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's been lovely chatting to you guys again.
So a little expansion on your World Cup. The losers from the
Oh.
first round, do they go into a rubbish biscuit bracket, so you can knock them out to fight the worst biscuit?
Ooh. Ooh, that's
Tell you what,
interesting.
Ash, me and you, I think you've just joined the organising committee.
It was nice knowing you, Ash. Oh.
I like that. A bit of biscuit grading going on.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. So, plenty to think on then in terms of biscuits before next episode, guys.
Yeah, lots.
Is
Serious matter.
Anybody got anything else to add before we sign off?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, no problem at all. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. If you're still with us, if we started talking about biscuits and you shut off, I totally understand. I hope today in this episode you've heard a little bit more about Nomads from somebody that's not just the usual three people on here, and it's highlighted genuinely what a helpful community it's been for a lot of people, and it's not just us talking about how great we are. I think it is actually helping a lot of people, and I do think it's hitting a part of the Blood Bowl community that isn't being hit by anybody else. It's just that I think that we are the only community I can think of that are hitting solely that, new players helping people attend tournaments for the first time, not alone, things like that. And I think it's a really good angle to take. So yeah, if anything you've heard in any previous episodes or tonight, as I say, from people that aren't just us three, makes you want to join, I will, as always, put a link into the description of this episode to join Nomads, and hopefully we'll see you there. But if not, we will see you for the next episode. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Indeed. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right.